Got it?
Okay. Oh, this is quite a thing today, this Old Timers Battle Royal. What can we expect?
Well, you never know. You know, these old timers there, you never know what they have left in them, and there'll be a lot of surprises out there tonight.
You wrestled 20, 30 years ago. How has wrestling changed since then?
Well, wrestling's changed quite a bit. That's boys are bigger and stronger and faster, but still, it's wrestling. You still have to know your moves and how to wrestle, and it's not everything's basically the same. Only the boys are bigger and stronger.
I don't want to put you on the spot, but this gentleman who's sitting here, Luthez, many consider him the greatest wrestler of all time.
Are you sure?
You've seen a lot.
And I've wrestled Lou before, and I know he's a great man.
Who is the
He was the world's champion 4 times, I believe.
6.
6 times, I'm sorry.
What stands out in your mind when you think about your career in wrestling?
Well, I've really enjoyed myself wrestling because I always loved wrestling, and that was always my sport. And I've met a lot of great people through wrestling and met a lot of great competition, had a lot of good competition. I really enjoyed it.
Great. So, the first thing I got to ask you is, how you doing?
I'm doing very well, thank you. And the world has been very good to me, and maybe I'm jumping the gun here, but I'm very happy to be back in wrestling togs again.
People, look and say, Luthez, 71 years old, getting into the ring, he's got to be crazy.
Well, that isn't as crazy as it sounds, Many years ago, Ed Stringer Lewis, my very dear friend and mentor and my coach and so forth, he and a couple of other wrestlers were great friends, and I saw some photographs of wrestlers that were maybe 75 and 80 years of age in Europe, and they looked great, and I thought, well, if they can do it, why, perhaps I can. And I'm really pleased to be back in action because it's Lewis like riding a bike. You don't forget that, And I'm really anxious to get back in there. It's going to be a fun trip.
Is this a one-time thing? You're going to do it more often?
It may be a one-time thing, and I had a total hip replacement a year ago, which doesn't bother me at all. I'm doing road work now. I'm doing a couple miles a day. I feel great. Go to the gym 5 days a week, and that's all I can say. I'm ready to get back in action like an old warhorse. I know I'll enjoy it. I always enjoyed wrestling. That was my first love, and I've devoted my entire life to it. And as a child, I started at 8 years of age, and out of the amateurs at 16, wrestling at 17 professionally, and traveled the world and has been very, very lucky and been able to be a world traveler and a citizen of the world, and without wrestling, I could not have done those things. I'm very pleased to be able to participate again.
Great, thank you.
Thank you very much.
It's been a long time since you've been in the ring. How does this feel?
I think I feel good. It's nice to be back and see all my friends here. It's very nice,
What about keeping in shape all the,
Well, I have to. I practice mostly every day. And I have a wrestling school in Montreal. And the young people keep me young. I try to be young.
I've got to ask you about Luthez, somebody who wrestled before, 6-time world champion.
Oh, he's one of the best. He's one of the best. And, I know the name from Europe, because I come from France. And when I start wrestling, my idol is Luthez. And I think he's one of the best men in the business, and still the best man today. Wrestling is wrestling.
What about wrestling today, as you see it?
It's completely different than before, It's more spectacular, more, I don't know in English, Entertainment? Yeah, that's it. But, you have to give the people what the people like. Today is the rock music, and I think the wrestling, you have to be rock too. Anyway, when you see the new wrestler, lots of guys know to wrestle. This is the first thing. You have to learn before you go in the ring.
Okay, great. How does it feel to be getting back in the ring with some of your contemporaries 20 years later?
Well, it's really not, for me, it's not 20 years later. I retired. I officially retired in 77. But, when I did retire, they wouldn't let me. That's what it amounted to. So a bunch of people got together and started calling me up, why don't you start teaching us wrestling, this one thing, that to another, and I started wrestling school. So every once in a while, you find these guys who are training, after about a year, they think they're better than the teacher. So I don't have to prove to them such is not the case. And one thing I had to my advantage over the many years, when I first started professional wrestling, I gave a total commitment to it. I said, I'm going to be good. And so I studied foods and diets, and I became a vegetarian. I've been a vegetarian for 34 years, no meat, fish, or poultry. And I claim that has increased my endurance because any professional wrestler in my time, in my era, can attest to the fact that I was a wrestling machine. I can go in that ring and just not stop. So I look at the guys, some guys today, and why they have that haggard look about them. Of course, it's a little different wrestling today than it was then. Now the wrestling in Tokyo, Japan one night, the next night it might be Los Angeles, the next night after that they're down in New York City, and it's a little bit different now. So the traveling is really taking a tremendous toll on the professional wrestlers today. Whereas in my day, we did wrestle 4 or 5 days a week, but we could rest between matches and between the days because we didn't have those long trips to take the work to sap our energy away from us. And I look back and people ask me, would you like to be into this? And no, I've had enough. I put all my time in, 25 years or so in a wrestling profession, and it comes to the point where it's just no more fun. It becomes a toil and a burden. So when I finally decided to hang it up, I said, this is about it for me. But I look back and somebody asked me too, says, would you do it again? I said, without hesitation, travel the world, and it's paid, everything was paid for. So at the same time, I had a lot of fun, I had a ball. I had a lot of wonderful people, Lou, you. In fact, we met, I think, over the phone before we even got here. And looking back, and says it was worth every moment of it. And even the friends today, we were reminiscing, sitting in the dressing room, looking back at all the other wrestlers, we started talking, thinking back, they brought the future. They brought the past into the present. I said, how wonderful this is. And we just sit and laugh. You could just hear the other guys discussing some of the past exploits. I think they were very, very funny, very humorous. And in fact, somebody should have a report in the dressing room just taking notes and all that, because that would make a tremendous program, just that alone. And I look back, I said, somebody asked me, if you had a son, would you recommend this? Without hesitation, I tell them too. So this is it, this is terrific. But you have to have the size, because you can't just, I have a lot of people, guys come up to me, 175 pounds, they become professionals, I said, forget it. Today they want to see the giants, they want to see the big men, and they want to see people who are dedicated to the profession. And it takes a lot of commitment, a lot of dedication to really show yourself. Because how can you express yourself? You can't go out in the alley and fight when you're 175 pounds. Cool people aren't impressed. You think you're a hoodlum, you're a bum. That's what bums and hoodlums are doing, fighting in the streets. But the athletes, the good men, the professionals, were fighting in front of the public for thousands and thousands of people. Even today, 93,000 people in Pontiac, Michigan. How can you get so many people to witness any kind of a sport? Only professional wrestling. I love it.
How has wrestling changed since the days, other than travel? It's a different game at this time.
Well, to tell you the truth, less wrestling. I'm from Boston area. I went to the Boston Garden, and I watched them wrestle. I saw two men wrestle out there. They were tremendous just a few weeks ago. They were great. I said, man, this was thrilling. People having bawling. They want to see wrestling. They want to see the hype. They want to see this jumping off the top rope. They want to see somebody smashing somebody over the head with a table or with a chair. Where's wrestling gone? It changes with the climate. It changes with the crowd. It changes with the environment. That people want to see the hype. They want to see less wrestling, more spectacularism. Well, the bottom line is the dollar, drawing people, and that's what the people want, that's what they're going to get. You don't want to see wrestling, then you get the hype. Hey, that's bottom line, bucks.
Gentleman from your era, that was one of the greatest of all time, Lou Thesz.
Lou Thesz was my mentor. When I first started wrestling, a young green kid, 17 years old, he took me under his wing to say, I could teach you a few things. That's been many years ago. I'm still learning. You never get to the point where you know it all. Because I watch television, I watch on television, I see these guys doing these moves, and I say, holy mackerel, who'd ever dream the athletic prowess of these guys, how they're able to get out there and move and fly around. So I said, we couldn't even dream of something like that in our era. So it's entirely different method, venture, entirely different sport altogether. It's exciting. Let's face it. It was exciting in our day. It's more exciting today. I love it too. But I couldn't do that with these guys doing holy mackerel. I'd be dead. Still, I look back and I look now and I look to the future. I say it's always going to be greater than it was before.
Great.
Well, how long do you want to talk with me? Want to talk for another hour?
What's your name?
You don't even have to
Oh,
mention.
okay.
How does it feel to be getting back in the ring again?
Well, to tell you the truth, I haven't left the ring very long because I was training some of the Japanese wrestlers on the Japanese professional tour. And just 1 year ago, I trained a Japanese wrestler for 9 weeks, 4 hours a day for 9 weeks. And he was a 12-time national sumo champion of Japan.
How has wrestling changed? I'm sure you watch it now. How has it changed from now to when you wrestle?
Well, it has changed a lot. They've speeded everything up. The rules are more lax. They're allowed to do more things. I don't believe the wrestlers of today are taught the basic fundamentals of wrestling that we did years ago, and well, not too many years ago. And I think that the right down to basic wrestling, the wrestlers of 10 years ago were better wrestlers, better trained wrestlers than they are today. However, the rules are more lenient and the regulations controlling. It makes it more spectacular. Rules have changed in all sports to make it public appealing. So wrestling has gone along with them too.
A gentleman by the name of Lou Thesz, somebody
Yes.
you've wrestled before. How would you describe him as a professional wrestler?
Oh, fantastic. I look back in the records that I had, over the years that I had been in and out of St. Louis, I had wrestled him 12 times. And we had stalemates. He had beaten me and I'd beaten him. So, you know, I don't know what the true score was, but out of those 12 matches, I would say that we'd spent at least 10 hours in the ring.
Wow. Anybody today who you were particularly impressed with in the ring?
Today? Oh, there's a lot of great athletes. The athletes today have better training methods and coaching if they want to stay with it. But like I said, everything is speeded up, that, you know, they want to get the high slams off the ropes and everything like that. But the basic fundamentals of wrestling will never change. Now, my friend coached in the Olympics. He's an Olympic wrestling coach, and he gave me this jacket to wear tonight. And we wrestle, and he goes back to the basic fundamentals, and it's just fantastic. But the guys today are bigger. I would say that in some instances, they are better.
This has got to bring back some great memories to be back here wrestling guys you wrestled 20, 30 years ago.
Oh, yes, of course, it really does, because some of these guys I hadn't seen, like Kowalski, I hadn't seen him for, I think, almost 20 years. And it was really great to see him, because the moment I see him, I said, my gosh, I wrestled this guy so many times, and he beat on me and did all these things to me and everything. And here we are, I'm facing him today, and we've both been out of wrestling for quite a period, and we're going to go into this battle royal tonight, and it's great to see the guy, great to see all of them.
Great. Thank you very much.
Yes.
Wasn't it years ago? Didn't you get hit by something at the Cobo Arena?
No, it was down in Cincinnati, in the valley at the Gardens.
What is it like for you to be getting back into the ring today with some of your contemporaries?
It's incredible. As a matter of fact, you mentioned Lou Thesz just a little while ago, and I can remember in Australia, Thesz was one of my idols because he's been wrestling since, 1936. I started in 38, and the odd part about all this is that at one stage, Estrada Lewis, who managed Lou Thesz, was the gentleman that booked me throughout the United States back in 1952, when I wrestled fellas like Gorgeous George. I wrestled him a few times, and actually I've worked in 32 countries. I've been very, very fortunate. The good Lord above has given me the opportunity to travel. I've met kings and queens and maharajas all through a little gift, wrestling. I'm very appreciative to it, and the fact that I'm here with Lou Thesz, well, that's a dream come true, actually.
Looking at wrestling today and in your time, what do you see as the major differences?
Well, I think that the men that you've interviewed recently have just spoke about that, and I go along with the same premise. The wrestling is a great art, a great sport. To be a good wrestler, you have to have ability and personal pride. To be successful, you have to have colour. How do you define colour? You know, I can remember years ago in my dad's fruit store in Sydney, Australia, I used to tell the customers, I'm going to Madison Square Garden, I'm going to sell out Madison Square Garden. They're looking, this guy's nuts. Madison Square Garden. All I would do is sell cabbages here in Rockdale, New South Wales, Australia. Well, 20-odd years later, I'm sitting in Madison Square Garden. There's 20,000 inside, 10,000 breaking the doors to get in. I'm involved in the main event. I'm thinking, the chase was much more illuminating than the actual realization of my dream. The the realization of the dreams is sort of a letdown for the simple reason I'm expecting something. There's nothing, because once you're on the top spot, it's twice as tough to stay there. It's an incredible, there has been an incredible, and I'm very, very appreciative, and the gentleman that gave me that opportunity at Madison Square Garden was Vince McMahon Sr. He is, I'm very proud to be associated with Vince McMahon Jr., but he was the one that really groomed us for Madison Square Garden.